It was underway this time yesterday. You might have watched it here on Fox. Hillary Clinton testifying for 11 grueling hours before the House Select Committee on Benghazi. The stakes very high for the former Secretary of State, facing questions on the terror attack that killed 4 Americans, including an ambassador. And according to multiple media outlets, Hillary Clinton came out of it looking stronger. Take a look at the headlines using words like unruffled, only glancing blows, and Clinton survives. So are these fair assessments of the results of yesterday's marathon hearing? Let's talk about it with Lynn Sweet, Washington bureau chief for the Chicago Sun-Times. Judy Miller is Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter, author, and a Fox News contributor. What about it, Lynn? Did the committee lay a glove on Hillary Clinton?
Well, I think Trey Gowdy, who is the chairman, himself said at the end of it, John, when asked what new came out, which is the bottom line of a big hearing, he said he couldn't think of anything.
But, okay, Judy, I think I hear you chuckling in the background.
Yes, no, chuckling, laughing out loud. No, this is very sad. It's a missed opportunity for the Republicans, who are proving to be just as hapless in hearings as they are in choosing a speaker. Thank goodness Paul Ryan kind of pulled them together, because they had 11 hours to really tell people what was new. And what was new to me was that Hillary had told a member of her family and the Egyptian prime minister and the Libyan head of state that, in fact, the Benghazi attack was not caused by a video, but it was caused by Al-Qaeda. And that was new, and yet it was buried, along with the fact that there had been 600 requests for security upgrades at the embassy that she had let her, quote, security people handle, as if that pesky little problem doesn't deserve her attention. And yet all of that was buried by the spiteful, nasty attitude of many of the Republicans, who also, by the way, kept a lot of the news to the end of the hearing when only diehards were watching.
On that point, Judy, I want to highlight what Kimberly Strassel wrote in today's Wall Street Journal. Her article was titled, "She," meaning Mrs. Clinton, "she knew all along," and it refers to that email you were talking about, an email she apparently sent to her daughter Chelsea within a couple of hours of the attack. Her email reads, according to Strassel, "2 of our officers were killed in Benghazi by an Al-Qaeda-like group." Mrs. Clinton doesn't hedge in the email. No, it seems or it appears. She tells her daughter that on the anniversary of 9/11, an Al-Qaeda group assassinated 4 Americans. The next afternoon, Mrs. Clinton had a call with the Egyptian Prime Minister, Hesham Kandil. The notes from it are absolutely damning. The Secretary of State tells him, we know that the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack, not a protest. And yet, Mrs. Clinton and Mrs. Rice and Mr. Obama for days and days continued to spin the video lie. Do you disagree with that assessment, Lynn?
Can I just... John, my point is, I agree with Judy. If this was new, but they didn't clearly say it. We could also then, if we have a moment, say what, this has been so debated for years now that the administration and Susan Rice, when she went on those TV shows that Sunday, didn't tell the events in the best way possible. So when we think of a hearing with all these resources to look for something new, and the bottom line is, we now know a little more. It's not bad, but where was the follow-up? Where was the orchestrated, the organization that you see in hearings sometimes to, in an orderly way, then talk to Secretary Clinton about, why did you tell Chelsea this? What happened? What did you know? What was the difference? It was such a mishmash of questioning and an overabundance of interest in Sidney Blumenthal that they couldn't, so they had something that they wanted to develop, and they just did not do it. So therefore, even the chairman couldn't come up with what Judy and Kimberly Strassel just came up with when asked, what's new? So
you're thinking it was badly run, not necessarily that it was pointless or that it didn't uncover any new ground?
Well, I think you do have to have the Secretary of State at the time testify. Nothing wrong with that. But use your time. Can you imagine, Judy? Okay, each member had 3 shots of 10 minutes each. When do we get as reporters to have a prime, someone we want to interview, and we have time in between We know we're going to have at least 3 shots. They might have gone a 4th if somebody insisted. And we have time to think about how we could have done better in our questions. And we could listen to other people. Okay,
send some of those
30
members,
minutes, 7 members each.
Send some of those members of Congress to journalism school. Real quickly, I just want to point out one tweet that Stephen Hayes of the Weekly Standard sent out just as the hearing was a few hours old. He writes, Benghazi hearing part 1, blockbuster new information that discredits Obama administration HRC. Hillary Rodham Clinton claims on YouTube video. Journalists yawn.
That's not fair. Here's why that. And I like Steve. I think part of it is when no one yawned, you have to look at when people had to file stories and had deadlines, and when it was crystal clear that this new what this new information was about. It's not like they helped you out by putting these emails on the committee website or anything either. Yeah. I think they put it on some tweets, and you had to know about it.
If you go back to the future, though, those stories they were telling in the days immediately after the attacks sure play differently now. We have to leave it there.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.